Tuesday, March the 5th, 5:36 a.m. You see the old sun trying to get up in the east there, boys and girls. More talk about this presidential immunity. You know, we already have a thing called diplomatic immunity. You know, and you can go read about it. The terminology used is a person performing their duties. They have immunity. Performing their official duties. You know, where one country can't go after another. We've seen this talked about, you know, with some different situations as of late. So this presidential immunity, you know, the Supreme Court, you know, I guess they'll probably give a ruling on this, but we may hear that same terminology used. Performance of official duties. Well, we'll see how this works out, but that's a broad term when it comes to a president. As the chief executor, you know, they check to make sure all the laws are being enforced. You know, that's the definition of the executive branch. Checking to see if there's no voter fraud. That would be an official duty, wouldn't it? Just like, you know, this case in Georgia. So how are they going to, you know, they're going to have to define this. But you can't, if you just use a broad term like this, you really haven't accomplished very much, have you? There'll still be idiots out there, you know, like this Illinois judge and this Maine Secretary of State, you know. Then the debate will, oh, well, this is not an official duty. And it's not like the Supreme Court is going to give a list, okay? Now, I want you to think about this. I mean, I think we could probably make the case now. This Colorado case involving taking Trump off the ballot, that was a frivolous lawsuit. When you think about it. And if you looked at all of the scholars on this issue that have since dealing with the Constitution, what did they all say about this when they made their predictions before the Supreme Court heard this case? And even after the Supreme Court heard the case, but before they rendered a decision, everyone that I watched, including Alan Dershowitz, and he is a liberal, by the way, when Mr. Trump spoke yesterday in Mar-a-Lago, what did you never hear him mention? You know, this cost him money. He had to pay lawyers, didn't he? He had to pay because his constitutional right was being trounced on by the state of Colorado. And he had to pay to undo that. But he never did mention that, did he? So yeah, you have these, it's just like this case in Georgia. Well, what if it turns out with this, if it turns out with this ruling on this immunity that case really shouldn't even be brought. And here's all these lawyers' fees for President Trump. He doesn't get reimbursed, does he? A state does what they did like Colorado. They can inflict pain on a person with a frivolous lawsuit. But there's no reimbursement. The only reimbursement really is, oh, well, Trump's back on the ballot. You know, this doesn't get talked about. You know, a case gets thrown out like this, you know, if it gets thrown out. Person has been subjected to all of these attorney's fees, and not to mention their time, you know. But the left doesn't care about this, and you know, and where's the frivolous lawsuits brought by red states? Where are these cases? We don't see them, do we? Evidently, the conservatives in this country can read and understand the Constitution. The liberals have a hard time for whatever reason. But a lot of them go to the same schools to get their education. Why are they so far apart in their understanding of this Constitution? Explain that to me. I mean, I don't even have a college degree, and I can understand it. I can understand this case in Colorado wasn't going anywhere. You know, you would have set up a domino effect by, if the Supreme Court would have ruled in favor of that Supreme Court in Colorado, what would you have had? Instant banana republic. Instant. Colorado couldn't see this. They were even asked this, by the way, in the Supreme Court hearing. You know, and of course the attorney there, you know, that wouldn't happen. What do you mean it wouldn't happen? You could just have some Secretary of State or some Board of Elections just coming out of the blue. Well, we're taking him off the ballot because of this. Oh, we don't need a trial. We don't need any due process. We just say, well, it's in this section right here. In the Constitution, doesn't say anything about we as a board of elections can do this. It just says this, so we're just going to do it. Or some judge, like that one in Illinois. You know, that's a shame to see a judge like this do what she did. You know, hop on this bandwagon, and you've got a 9-0 decision. And she gets paid how much? I mean, you know, it's one thing to be half right and be right and be wrong. Well, you know, these people weren't even half right. You know, there's no gray area here on this matter. You know? There's no gray area in this matter, but these people doing what they did evidently like gray matter, huh? But at least one thing, at least now we know, don't we? We won't have this happening anymore. Barring a Supreme Court reversal in the future, this won't happen anymore. You know? But to see some of these suits, you know, and then they get up there, and then it's obvious, and I suspect that's what's going to happen with some of these other lawsuits with former President Trump. You know, with this immunity claim, you know, official duties, performance of official duties. Well, we'll just have to wait and see how they write this. How generic, how broad, how narrow do they write this? There's going to be some immunity. The Supreme Court, you know, they're not fools. That's going to conclude the video. It's warm here. It's not going to be as warm as yesterday, but it feels spring-like.